Hooked 3 sentences. The cops were already in my driveway, lights flashing red across the empty basin where my pool used to be. While Karen shrieked like I'd committed some kind of federal crime. Neighbors were filming from their porches. Influencers were bailing from their SUVs. And my so-called HOA president pointed at me like she'd finally caught the devil. But the only thing I was guilty of was protecting my own home. Act T. The spark. I still remember the click of her heels that morning, sharp, deliberate, like gunshots against the patio. My brother Sam had just settled into sketching by the pool, the one place that kept him calm, when the gate swung open, and in marched Karen Smith, clipboard in hand, like it was a court order. Big news, she chirped, voice loud enough to scare off the birds. The HOA is hosting a VIP soiree next weekend, and your pool is the centerpiece. I just stared at her. My pool, my backyard, a big, hand-painted private property, no trespassing sign hung right on the gate. Sam had even painted little flowers around it to soften the edge. She looked right at it, sniffed, and waved it off like it was graffiti. I tried to keep my voice steady. Karen, this is my house, my deed. My brother and I live here. That pool is ours. Her smile tightened, that brittle tone slipping out. Don't be difficult. Tom, the flyers are already in print. Influencers are coming, and non-compliance means fines. Heavy ones. Then she spun on her heel, stormed off, leaving silence that felt more like the calm before a storm. Sam's voice was small. What are we gonna do? Tom, I pulled him close and lied through my teeth. I'll handle it. But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't done. She never was. This wasn't our first rodeo. When we first moved in, she fined me for having the wrong shade of beige mailbox. Later, she came after Sam's rosebush, called it an architectural violation. She'd weaponized the HOA bylaws like scripture only she could interpret. But this taking our pool, this was new. This was war. Act 2. The escalation. On Monday morning, Sam opened the door to find an official notice taped like an eviction order. HOA reservation confirmation, Lot 7. Our address? My blood boiled. It laid out a full schedule setup at 10, party from 2 to 6. Access to homeowners' restroom facilities presumed. She was inviting 50 strangers to traipse through Sam's safe space like it was some country club. I spent an hour on the phone with the district HOA office, got a board woman named Brenda, who told me local boards had broad discretion. Translation. Karen could get away with murder until the next board meeting, which wasn't for 3 weeks. The party was in 5 days. Helpful. So very helpful. By Tuesday, flyers were up at the mailboxes. Grand VIP soiree at Willow Creek's premier aquatic oasis. There was even a badly photoshopped picture of my pool palm trees we didn't even own. Hank, my neighbor, called. Buddy, she's selling tickets non-refundable. Heard her bragging at the clubhouse. 50 VIPs plus their plus ones. I nearly dropped the phone. Tickets. She wasn't just power tripping, she was running a scam. That night, Sam barely touched his dinner. He just stared out the window like he was already mourning his sanctuary. And for a moment, I'll admit, I cracked. I sat there, thinking maybe we should just let her do it. Pay the fine, swallow the humiliation, let Sam avoid the stress. For a split second, I pictured 50 strangers floating in our pool, while Karen preened about community spirit. And me, hiding inside, defeated, and I hated myself for even considering it. But then I saw Sam, clutching his sketchbook so tight his knuckles went white. And I remembered, that pool wasn't just water and tile. It was therapy. It was peace. It was ours. That's when the grit set in. I pulled out the deed, flipped through the HOA bylaws, and confirmed what I already knew. They had zero right to commandeer private property. Karen's event priority mandate was pure fiction. So I formed a plan. A simple, legal, devastating plan. If Karen wanted my pool, she could have it. Empty. Act 3. Drain day. Saturday dawned bright and sunny, the perfect pool party weather. Perfect for me, too. At sunrise, I fired up the submersible pump, and water roared through the hose into the storm drain. With every gallon that disappeared, so did Karen's soiree. By 9 a.m., Sam came out rubbing his eyes, froze, then broke into the first real smile I'd seen all week. You're really doing it. Yep. Urgent owner maintenance. Hank showed up with donuts, grinning like a kid at Christmas. Best protest I've ever seen. Tom. By the time Karen's car screeched to a stop at the curb, the shallow end was nearly bone dry. She marched up, clipboard shaking. What is the meaning of this? She barked. Maintenance, I said calmly, holding up the deed. Pool safety is serious, especially with, what? 50 VIPs and their plus ones. Couldn't risk it. Her face froze. She knew I knew. You'll regret this. She spat. The fines will be astronomical. And then her ace move, she dialed 911. Minutes later, 2 cruisers rolled in, lights cutting across the stunned crowd of VIPs who were now gathering, dressed in resort outfits, staring at the empty basin like they'd been conned. Karen rushed forward. Officers, thank God. He vandalized HOA property, sabotaged our event. The taller cop, Miller, looked at the pool, looked at me. Sir, is this true? Did you drain it today? My heart pounded. I knew this was the pivot point. If they bought her story, I was done. But I stayed steady, pulled the deed from my folder. This is my property. My pool, closed for urgent owner repairs. Clearly posted. No one had my permission to use it. Miller skimmed the deed, nodded once, then turned to Karen. Ma'am, this is private property. Your HOA rules don't override ownership. Karen sputtered, clipboard trembling. But the mandate, the event priority mandate. That's when one of her guests, a sharp-suited lawyer, stepped forward, waving his ticket. Excuse me, officer, did she just say this wasn't authorized? I paid $100 for this exclusive soiree. That's fraud. The crowd erupted angry murmurs. Phones raised, someone live streaming. The younger cop, Diaz, raised her brows, scribbling notes. Miller's voice cut through. Ma'am, filing a false police report is a crime. Selling tickets to an event on property you don't control, that could be fraud. You need to stop talking before this gets worse. Karen's jaw dropped. For once, no words. Her VIPs abandoned ship. One influencer filming herself beside the empty pool, muttering about scams and hashtags. Neighbors peered from windows. Even Hank's dog lifted its leg on Karen's prized marigolds. By the time the cops left, Karen looked hollow. Clipboard on the ground. Hair wilted. Her empire crumbling in real time. She whispered, "This isn't over." But it was, and she knew it. Epilogue. Cold quiet. Word spread fast. By the next week's HOA meeting, Karen was a ghost. Resigned. Gone. Her mandate shredded. For the first time in years, the neighborhood exhaled. Roses bloomed unchecked. Wind chimes jingled. No more beige notices taped to doors. And Sam blossomed. With Karen out of the picture, he sketched by the pool again, laughter coming easy. That was the real victory. As for me, I sat by that drained pool the evening after it all went down. The pool closed. Urgent repairs. Sign still propped up like a trophy. And I realized something. Sometimes the quiet guy, the one who paints his mailbox the right shade of beige just to keep the peace. Sometimes that guy turns to steel when his family and his home are threatened. And Karen learned the hard way. A deed beats any clipboard. The final line channel tag. Because at the end of the day, justice isn't loud, it's decisive. And that's the kind of story we tell here on Everyday Karen Tales.